A Zoroastrian embraces the faith. Over 1,200 years ago, the Arabs brought Islam to Iran, which was then the homeland of millions of Zoroastrians. By the 19th century, most Iranians were Muslims, and the number of Zoroastrians had dwindled to mere thousands in only a handful of localities in the country. These remaining holdout Zoroastrians did not see Muhammad as their own expected one, named in their scriptures, the Shah Bahram or Hushidar. They held fast to their own religion, enduring great hardship and persecution at the hands of fanatical Muslims. The southern city of Yazd, with its surrounding villages, was at that time the largest Zoroastrian community in Iran. The Zoroastrians there were mostly farmers. One of them was a man known as Mullah Bahram. Clearly, Bahram was not a Muslim mullah. The honorific title mullah alluded to the fact that the person was literate and learned by the standards of the time. Mullah Bahram was known and respected by his people not only for his literacy but also for his skill in farming. In the course of his work, one day he met some people who were not Zoroastrians but who treated him fairly and with kindness. They went so far as to invite him to their homes, which was an unheard of practice in the oppressively bigoted environment of Yazd. Before long, Mullah Bahram discovered that these people were formerly Muslims but had become Baha'is. His curiosity was piqued by the accepting way they treated him, and he wanted to know more about their beliefs. In due time, the Baha'is told him about Baha'u'llah, whose name means the glory of God. They explained to him the principles of their faith and provided him with some of the Baha'i sacred writings. Mullah Bahram immersed himself in the study of the new faith and also carefully examined the prophecies of his ancient religion. He became convinced that Baha'u'llah was indeed the Zoroastrians' promised one, the long-expected Shah Bahram. He then enthusiastically embraced the cause of God in his new form and became one of the first, if not the very first Zoroastrian to become Baha'i. Bahram's heart had first been touched by the dramatic changes he observed in the people of the new faith. They had been transformed by the power of Baha'u'llah's faith from the heartlessly cruel way of the Muslims into the accepting and loving ways of the Baha'is. He saw with his own eyes that the Baha'is truly practiced Baha'u'llah's admonition, let deeds, not words, be your adorning. It is reminiscent of Abdul Baha's reply when he was asked, "Who is a Baha'i?" He replied, "A Baha'i is recognized by his virtues and deeds, not by name only." Those luminous early believers of Yazd, the formerly oppressive Muslims, did indeed let their virtues and actions represent their belief by overcoming their prejudice and welcoming a Zoroastrian to their homes with open arms. Spiritually revived, Mullah Bahram immediately embarked on the task of sharing the glad tidings with other Zoroastrians. A good number of Zoroastrians soon enrolled under the banner of their long-awaited and prayed-for Shah Bahram. The ancient prophecies of their faith were truly fulfilled in the new messenger sent by God, Baha'u'llah. Mullah Bahram's fearless teaching activities greatly alarmed the Islamic clergy, who began petitioning the governor to arise against him. During this time, the governor of Yazd was in partnership with Mullah Bahram in a significant farming operation. When the governor learned that Mullah Bahram had become a Baha'i, and then heard that the Muslim clergy were clamoring for his head, it conveniently provided the governor with just the pretext he needed to take sole possession of their farming enterprise. He could have Mullah Bahram killed for not only becoming a Baha'i, but especially for unceasingly teaching others about it. The perfidious governor secretly secured Mullah Bahram's death verdict from a mujtahid, a Muslim jurist, and planned to have him executed without delay. It was fortunate that a confidant of the governor learned of the scheme, dashed to Mullah Bahram and warned him that the very next day the governor intended to have him arrested and killed on the charge of heresy. Upon hearing this, in the dead of night, on foot, literally with only the clothes on his back, Mullah Bahram escaped from Yazd, heading for the capital city of Tehran, far to the north. Mullah Bahram had lost all his possessions back in Yazd. When he eventually arrived in Tehran totally penniless, he could hardly hope to resume his profession of farming. He endured great hardship in the city, until because of his literacy, he was able to secure a supervisory position in a wealthy man's business. When Abdul Baha learned about Mullah Bahram's embracing the faith and the ordeals he had suffered in the path of God, he showered him with immense love. In an early tablet revealed to him, Abdul Baha once again demonstrated his unmatched magnificence. He praised Mullah Bahram, consoled him for his suffering, and went on to say that he wished that he was in Mullah Bahram's place so that he could suffer these trials and tribulations instead of Mullah Bahram. Abdul Baha hardly needed additional suffering. He had been without the least respite in the cauldron of great suffering from the time he was a small child. Commentary. Let deeds, not words, be your adorning, Baha'u'llah exhorted us. And the deeds of those formerly intolerant Muslims touched the heart of Mullah Bahram. Their enmity turned into love, their prejudice into fellowship. Such is the power of the spirit of the faith.